I'm here. Is that number 7? Okay, I can't remember.
Yeah, it looks like they.
Yep, it looks like I might have printed, I must have printed the right one. That's good.
Oh.
So that's a memorandum that was just added today. It's on the website, but just in case, you weren't able to read it,
Oh, okay.
we printed it out.
I was thinking, okay.
I don't see anybody that recognize being that revolution. Yeah, that was Scott. Yeah, Scott. We're going to have to do now is the charter review.
Some of my kids went camping to Eastern Washington, way up kind of past Republic. They got rained on up there.
Really?
We are in this beautiful sunshiny blue. They go there to do warm, fun camping, fishing, setting up tents and pouring down rain. And
Washington, great.
it just is. You know, I went and checked on them just before I came here, and they're putting tents out to dry and draping them over the swing sets, and you can't believe it.
If you can't camp in the rain, you can't go camping around.
You just can't. You just can't.
You know, they get as much precipitation as we do here.
Really? I did not know
Now,
that.
most of it's snow though.
Okay, okay.
But yeah, I worked in Monterey down for a few years.
Okay, okay. Well, I was just stunned, you know, and it was like, yeah, they got hosed, you know? It turned, you know, they got some good days and some, but they started off getting hosed. And it was so nice here.
It's not even like told in the council.
And the executive.
Well, that'd be a bummer. You know, there's an awful lot of people that always walk up to that door first.
Oh,
I wonder if it makes sense to put a sign that said planning commission
Yeah.
this way or something. At least when we know there's gonna be people, you know?
Yeah.
Probably makes sense, yeah.
Make it so number 1.
Scott's out there directing traffic now.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I don't even know if we need it now, but I'm just thinking in the future, you know?
Yeah, no, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
We don't really don't give it that way.
It appeared to be the kind of subject that needed that. That's the only reason I read it, is kind of going my gut a little bit.
I think we were kind of on it.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
Don't have a dog in it, like a lot of people are wishing.
The good stuff's on the left.
I don't know.
When
Everything.
one of the updates,
I don't pay attention to that anymore.
there used to be either a 3 or there was a decision made to put it into the.
None of those 8 is one.
The commission.
Depends on what their rules. You got another one?
What's that?
This is just the memo that we sent out.
Yeah, that's your newest one. I printed it, so I'm okay.
You know, business rules.
We're gonna go live here in just a minute, everybody. We're gonna go live for a second. Good evening. June 13th, 2024, Whatcom County Planning Commission meeting is called to order. I'll call the roll. Tobin Barton, that's me. Atul Desmani,
Here, thank you.
Jim Hampson will not be attending. Stephen Jackson. Stephen Jackson. Julie Jefferson,
Here.
Frank James. Frank James. Dominic Masseri,
Here,
Scott Van Dalen.
here,
Please join me for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, time now for department update. Assistant Planning Director Steve Roberts would give us the update.
I don't have an update for you tonight. I think you have enough on your plate.
Okay, thank you. So now time for open session for public comment and the planning commissioner coordinator. Eileen will take over.
Welcome to the meeting. This meeting is being broadcast live. The audio is being recorded and will be posted to the county website. As noted on our website, members of the public may watch the meeting or join online or by phone. During the open public comment section, speakers may not speak to the items that are scheduled on the agenda for a public hearing tonight. There is no public hearing tonight, so you can speak on what you wish. If you would like to provide public comment at this time, we will take comments from those in the room first. Please come up to the podium and print your full name on the sign-up sheet. If you are participating remotely and would like to speak, virtually raise your hand. We will get to you shortly. If using the internet, press the hand icon to raise your hand. If calling in by phone, press *9 to raise your hand. Each speaker has up to 3 minutes to speak. And please state your full name for the record and direct all comments to the chair. Who in this room would like to speak first?
I'll go. I don't have a dog in the hospital.
No, I don't think.
Hi, Dave Widener, and I'm not talking about the HH issue. I'm talking about low-cost housing. I've been talking about the problem for every visit, and now I'm here to talk about a solution. I recognize that the planning commission basically just approves stuffs that the planning department comes up with. So more or less, this is directed to Steve and his department. I think that we can have zoning as a solution instead of something to restrict us. UGA land is expensive. There are people that would like to grow up, get a good job, and move to the suburbs. And the suburbs is not a dirty word. People think that urban sprawl is a dirty word. It's not. If your kids want to move to the suburbs and buy a house, they should be able to. I think everybody in this room owns property, with rare exception. I don't. I can't get property. I can't afford it. I could save all my life and I couldn't afford the payments. Current zoning makes things expensive. I think a possible solution with the opportunity that we're giving with this comprehensive plan change would be to zone in a solution. I think that if we had an exemption like a conditional use permit that allowed for construction, if you had a 30 to 50% value of the median price, Steve, I don't know what we're watching there that is more
You
important.
have 2 minutes.
Okay. I think that if you had property that was allowed to be built, if it was at 30 to 50% possibly the median price, you'd put conditions on it. Value the property as low income fixtures like an apartment, not brass and marble. don't say it's worth $125 a square foot when you do the zoning and the permit fees. Have a condition that says we're allowed to do it if it's under a certain square footage, like 1,800 square feet or 2,000. And have an upgrade for more than one house. So if you had a 30 by 60-foot duplex, 1,800 square feet with two families living in it, on property that right now is R5 with an already existing ADU, I think that would help solve the problem of low-income housing. I mean, we just can't zone our kids and our grandkids out of the opportunity to live in a house, even if it's a small house, a starter house. We're not talking about building a mansion, just something that low-income people can move into. And planning has the opportunity to do this. If they can come up with a structure and the zoning that we're trying to do for the next year and say, this little tiny paragraph will give you guys a chance to say yes when somebody comes and wants to build something, instead of saying no. And I think that Whatcom County is a wonderful place to live, and we should be able to say yes to our kids, to our grandkids. So that's what I've got to say. Thank you for your time.
Anyone else wish to speak at this time? Please write your name and state your name for the record, please.
My name is Mary Lou Whiteford. I live on Marine Drive and I'm here to talk to you about the recent dust up that didn't yet involve or didn't get quite as far as it might have with the planning commission here, but it's about the rezone of the area that was for the ABC shredding site. I was one of the concerned and vocal.
Can you speak just a little bit louder so that it gets picked up and out to the rest of the planning commission?
Okay. I was one of the vocal and concerned opponents of ABC's proposed metal shredder development on Marine Drive. I remain concerned and I promise to remain a vocal opponent, along with many others, of any future development of that site under its current heavy industrial zoning. The site is within the Alderwood urban growth area and as such deserves and demands revised zoning compatible with the long-established existing development, including residences and schools. I urge the Planning Commission to immediately place whatever development restrictions are possible prior to rezoning of this site. Your action now will give fair notice and warning to any potential developer of the probability of a rezone of the area. That kind of transparency is vital to good government. Further, your actions now will serve to reestablish trust with the neighborhood that we are working with the county to allow responsible, compatible development. Please act now to avoid future unnecessary conflict, delay, expense, distrust, and animosity between Whatcom County government and the people it serves. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Nancy Barge and I'm a retired educator, and I've called Bellingham my home for the past 27 years. Fumes matter. Fumes matter so much that in 2005, the state of Washington declared it would be illegal to smoke tobacco products at all indoor public places and workplaces in our state. The state would go on to enact other prohibitive tobacco laws for the health and safety of its citizens. And why is this? Because of the perilous impact we now know that fumes and other toxic matters have on our health. Fumes do indeed matter. Unfortunately, the woman who spoke before me hit her on the head. Bellingham area struggles with effectively managing the seeping of toxins into our environment. Georgia Pacific, the Oster Cedar plant and its Cantros PCP, and most recently, ABC Recycling's careless and poisonous activity on our waterfront. I think we can all agree that none of us want bad stuff in our environment. As a planning commission, you are in a great position to influence the direction of the county regarding its environmental responsibility to its citizens. I encourage you to move all four of the planning department solutions to the county council for their consideration. And most importantly, to pursue the performance standards change from heavy industrial to light industrial. Limiting the activities of high industrial lands must be done quickly for the sake and safety of Bellingham and Whatcom residents, but especially for our most vulnerable population that surround these heavy industry areas. And these most vulnerable groups include 2 elementary schools, several daycares and assisted living facilities, and public parks, all located within Bellingham's urban growth areas. Let's shift the paradigm of Bellingham's poor track record of looking past releasing toxins in our air, water, and land. And let's take better care of our environment and our citizens. Thank you.
Anyone wish to speak at this time?
Thanks.
Write your name on the sign-up sheet.
It's already there.
Okay, perfect.
Second one went down after Dave was here. My name's Robert Koch and I live on Marine Drive. And, I'm here to, protest the current very old, heavy industry zoning of that stretch of Marine Drive. It must be changed because already the sounds and air pollution of heavy industry are detrimental to the many homes and schools that have been built there. We can hear the grinding all the time, the cement plant, but it's there. But I don't want to see new stuff come in. In fact, the heavy truck traffic to and from the old cement plant and daily sounds of the grinding are bad enough. But the recent threat of ABC has made it clear that such zoning is a remnant of the past and thus no longer viable in our post-industrial age. And it's also not compatible with the surrounding development, which is basically residential. I urge you to consider some temporary restriction of the current industrial zoning until the county development plan is updated a year or 2 from now. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Good evening. Hi, my name is Lisa Adam. I'm a Birchwood resident with significant concerns about the heavy impact industrial area within our residential neighborhood. The Birchwood and Alderwood neighborhoods have been encouraged to grow and increase in density surrounding this small HII area for decades. Much of this heavy impact industry has closed or changed over the years, and because of this, addressing this HII zoning didn't have much emphasis. That is, until ABC Recycling came to town. This proposed heavy industry exposed the obvious, allowing further heavy industry so close to dense urban housing, schools, and daycares is not such a good idea. This has been mentioned to me as antiquated zoning in my discussions with other communities. And I appreciate and encourage the Planning Commission and County Council efforts at fixing this issue. I want to make 2 points. First, the strategy to utilize LII performance standards is a simple and effective and expedient fix to the need to halt any further HII from attempting to submit an application and become vested prior to the completion of this process. Time is of the essence to protect residents in our sensitive environment from any other heavy industry trying to beat the clock and locate here. I ask you to act quickly. Secondarily, in taking quick action, it must be broad and well thought out. For example, let's take the issue of LII versus HII. I'm particularly concerned about the performance standard regarding the release of toxic gases and fumes. These are not allowed in light industrial areas, but are allowed in HII. I understand current heavy industry businesses will be grandfathered in. However, I'm going to use Bell Lumber, formerly Osier, as an example to illustrate the importance of restricting toxic fumes and gases. Pentachlorophenol, a known toxin to humans and aquatic environments, has only recently been banned by the EPA. They are in a phase out period, but it's still allowed to be used until 2027 by companies like Bell for use in treating wood poles. It's released into the air through the treatment process. Heating it allows for greater penetration into the wood. This creates, guess what, releases of toxic fumes and gases of a known carcinogen. In the words of the Northwest Clean Air Agency from the 1970s, this is bad stuff. And in my view, is a clear example of the concerns of co-locating heavy industry in a UGA. In any recommended fix, I urge you to make certain that the ability to release toxic fumes and gases into our air and environment is prohibited and provide quick relief to residents. No more bad stuff. Thank you.
Hey there, I'm Brian Sarney, also a Birchwood resident. And not to beat a dead horse, but the concept of the HII reality, the scare that ABC brought, it brings everybody pause. And we understand from days gone by, we don't want to continue to repeat having, nobody wants to be known for having the highest rates of breast cancer and MS in the United States. And that's what happened downwind of the cement plant. Something like ABC would do that. Changing the zoning directly by whatever means temporarily so that it can be permanent eventually is imperative. Some of the notions that had come up last week with regard to touching base with the HII owners. No. Because somebody owns a parcel of property does not mean that you have to stop and stand still to find out what they want you to do with it. It doesn't happen that way any place. As the council, with the community speaking, with the other side of you speaking, that's what's imperative, is what the community wants, needs, predicated on what is currently transpiring. All of the residential around it. Recently, we have found out, for your awareness, ABC hopes that this thing gets zoned residential. Why? They triple their money on the property. Anybody else out there? Similarly, if it goes to commercial, industrial, light industrial with residential potential, they triple their money. You don't have to get lawyers involved when you're continuing with the concept of communities' future plan, which has been in place since 2019 for the area. You're upgrading, you're updating. You don't have to ask permission. It doesn't happen that way. You're allowed to put things forward, ask good questions, of course. Nobody wants to see anybody get hurt. I own commercial industrial property. I understand all that. I understand highest and best use. I'm an appraiser. I'm a builder. I'm a developer. I get all that. But again, the concerns that come up about having lawyers involved, you don't always have to get the lawyers involved when you're doing what the community has planned for in the long run. Thank you for your time last week. Thank you for your time listening today. And I'm hoping that it doesn't take a moratorium, that we can step in together as a community and make sure that the HII is diminished to a point that there's no more bad stuff. Thank you for your time.
I signed in earlier. Hello, my name is Chris Seacrest. My wife and I own 26 acres of HII in the urban growth area. It's located at the old Roger site, which Roger still owns, and we're leasing the property to the Bell Pole, as has been mentioned. Got a bit of concern, having just received this a few days ago, not having adequate time to consult with council and prepare comments, but I did want to put a few thoughts before the planning commission this evening. Going to only LII from HII is not really an option for an operation such as a pole yard. You know, we're handling 120-foot material, and I've been thought about what I want to say, and I think one of my concerns would be unintended consequences of limiting what can be done in there while being a non-conforming use. Because they're most likely, you know, during my tenure at the company, you know, 90% of our capital budget was spent on trying to improve the company and reduce our impacts offsite. And I can see where triggering a non-conforming use hearing and looking at setbacks and you know, the proposal to go to covered buildings only under an LII designation could really inhibit the company from being able to make improvements, which could effectively lessen its overall impact on the community. You know, there's been a pole yard since the early 40s, so for over 80 years, and you know, it's changed a lot over that time. And you know, yes, Penta has been phased out, and there's different chemicals to be how they're getting going here. So enclosing structures and operations would be impossible, literally impossible for a pole yard. I mentioned that it could be an impediment to improvements. I really encourage not a status quo, but you know, consider the ABC episode. Our current regulations and laws with constructive community input change the direction of that. You know, do we really need to dive in to this sort of exercise right now to the benefit of the community when what we have works? And I think the council's advice suggested that towards the conclusion of their writing to the council, so or the planning department. Thank you.
Anyone else in the room wish to speak?
I didn't sign up before, so I'll do that.
Thank you. And then please state your name for the record.
My name is Sarah Gardner. Thank you, Planning Department, for giving the public an opportunity to talk for the recent memos that have come out. As the Birchwood Neighborhood President, I have exposure to what's going on and how people in Birchwood land on many issues. Birchwood residents have been pretty tolerant of the industry around them, even though they lose sleep from industries that operate all night long. They suffer health consequences from living near Superfund sites. They're still able to use chemicals banned by the EPA, from breathing fumes and particulate matter of unknown origin, all on a regular basis. The county has never placed growth restrictions on Birchwood and Alderwood neighborhoods. In fact, the area is state mandated to grow as per the GMA. In addition, HB 1220 and 1181 will start to roll out, prioritizing environmental stewardship and environmental justice, which is incompatible with the zoning. Bellingham's projected growth is only going to intensify this issue. It's time to take long overdue action and begin to phase out this antiquated and unsafe HII zoning from the UGA. I support Lisa Adams' recommendations that she's outlined as far as action steps. Let's leave a good and healthy legacy for the children who currently have to learn, play, and grow within 2,000 feet of this zoning. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in the room wish to speak? Please write your name on the sign-up sheet. And state your name for the record.
My name is Scott Jones. I'm a Whatcom County resident and I'm from the community organization Save the Waterfront. I'd like to thank the planning department and staff for their work on future activities allowed in the UGA heavy industrial zones. Current activities will of course continue as they are. As the UGA is now densely populated with residential neighborhoods immediately surrounding the HII zones, it is important that any new dangerous heavy industrial activity is not allowed to be permitted. The metal shredder application was a wake-up call. As offered by staff earlier today, the combined solution at the end of that document is a well-planned and clear path forward that can immediately be sent to the county council. We urge you to move for a recommendation of the combined solution tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in the room wish to speak? Remote attendees wishing to speak, press the hand icon or *9 if you called in, then *6 to unmute when you are announced. Julie Wilson. Julie Wilson, do you wish to speak?
Yes, I do. Good evening. My name is Julie Wilson McNerney. I am an attorney with Schwabe, Williamson and Wyatt, and I am here representing Bell Poland Lumber. Despite the memo that went around apparently to community members from staff to the Planning Commission dated June 3rd, my clients only received notice of this meeting on June 11th, even though at the 5/23 Planning Commission meeting, it was represented to the Planning Commission that letters were being sent to the business owners in lands designated as HII. Therefore, as a result, Bell has not had time to review this proposal in depth, and we therefore request the Planning Commission delay a decision on this issue this evening, request that the Planning Commission hold another public hearing on this issue and leave the record open for Bell to provide additional comments. The proposal before the Planning Commission doesn't just target the ABC recycling facility, even though the concerns driving this proposal are based on that failed project. Mr. Seacrest spoke of the unintended consequences of the Commission's recommendation, and I think that's an important consideration to take into account. This proposal impacts 3 properties in addition to the ABC recycling facility, Bell's facility, the Port of Bellingham's property, and the Morse Industrial Park. In the county's attempt to preclude the use of a portion of designated industrial land for industrial activity based on the impacts of that industrial activity on uses on neighboring lands, this leaves the county open to claims of unconstitutional taking and inverse condemnation. As has been stated by others, the code revisions here would prevent Bell from changing, reconfiguring or modifying the uses on its property. It particularly might prevent Bell from implementing new technologies on the property that could reduce environmental impacts associated with their operations. We recommend that the Planning Commission look at less restrictive means of accomplishing this goal and not to drag the 3 other HII properties into the problem that ABC Recycling has created. And Bell will strongly and adamantly object to any code revisions that would limit their future use of this property. Thank you so much for your time this evening.
Thank you. Sebastian Durbin, do you wish to speak at this time?
Yes, please. My name is Sebastian Durbin. I'm a resident of Whatcom County, and I'm the plant manager at Bell Lumber and Pole, which is one of the properties that would be impacted by the proposed code changes. I've worked at this facility for 24 years. I would like to provide some background about Bell and explain the impacts the proposed code changes would have on Bell's operations. Bell Lumber is a 5th-generation family-owned company. Our Bellingham plant currently employs 27 people, and Bell has made a commitment to the Bellingham area and sees itself as part of the community now and into the future. Bell has made substantial donations to the Bellingham Food Bank and has helped the food bank expand its list of donors. Bell wants to be a good neighbor and Bell wants to be a responsible member of the community. Bell understands the county wants to change its codes to prohibit certain heavy industrial uses adjacent to residential areas. We believe that there are better solutions to this problem than changing the zoning code and prohibiting uses. The county should consider other ways to address this issue that do not threaten existing businesses in the heavy industrial zone. Businesses like Bell are also members of the community, and impacts to their businesses should be considered in the county's decision. The code revisions the county is currently proposing would limit Bell's ability to operate at this site long term. The code revisions under consideration would limit Bell's ability to upgrade its equipment as technology advances and make operational improvements. Bell opposes any county proposal that changes the code that would prohibit Bell's current use of the property and Bell's ability to improve its operations in the future. Bell urges the county to take all its community members into account in making this decision. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak at this time? Seeing no hands raised, there is no one else wanting to speak.
Now is the time for commissioner comments. Any commissioner comments?
I have a question.
Commissioner Jefferson, go ahead.
I just want a clarification, unless I possibly missed it, but I was at the last meeting, and can we clarify if when the notices went out?
You want to talk about it now, or you want to talk about it during your this item? Then we can clarify.
Let's go ahead now, Commissioner Jefferson.
I believe it went out Friday.
Okay.
Any other commissioner comments? Okay, let's move along to approval of minutes from the May 9th meeting and the May 23rd meeting.
I can make a motion that we accept the May 9 minutes.
Okay, we have a motion to accept the May 9th minutes. Do we have a second?
Yes.
Okay. Second by Commissioner Masseri. Are there any additions or corrections? Seeing that there are no additions or corrections. And Eileen, would you call the roll, please?
Yes. Deshmani,
I need to abstain because I wasn't present, but I want to make sure that you don't need my vote because of we're short on members today.
Don't believe we do.
no. Jefferson,
I need to abstain. I don't believe I was attending there. Apologies. Abstain.
Osari,
Yes.
Van Dalen,
Yes.
Barton,
Yes.
passes.
Would we like to make a motion to accept May 23rd minutes as well? I'll second.
Right. So are there any additions or corrections? Commissioner Desmond, your hand is up. You have
I'm sorry, Chair. I was here for the May 8th meeting. I thought you were approving the May 23rd meeting minutes. I was here for the May 8th. I apologize. But I'll be abstaining for this one as well, I guess.
all right. Seeing if there's no additions or corrections, Eileen, we can call the vote, please.
Yes. Jefferson,
Abstain.
Osari,
Yes.
Van Dalen,
Yes.
Barton,
Yes.
passes.
Right, so we're now on to the meeting topic for tonight, heavy industrial impact in the UGA. Senior Planner Cliff Strong, would you take over?
Sure, and first I just want to remind everybody, this is a workshop, not a public hearing. There'll be one later.
Yep.
So good evening, commissioners. As a reminder of the task before us, the council has directed PDS to amend the code to define appropriate industrial uses and conditions for industrial uses in the heavy impact industrial districts within a city's urban growth area. And as I pointed out last time, there's only HII zoning in the Bellingham UGA, so it doesn't really affect any of the other cities. Council has since provided additional direction indicating their desire to possibly rezone some of this area through the comp plan update and look for other suitable areas to zone industrial so as not to lose that industrial land base. However, there's a much longer process and they still want a more immediate solution to the potential for other incompatible uses being established here. So regardless of how any of us feel about a different solution, we still need to address their current direction. At your last workshop on this matter, you discussed several potential solutions and concerns. Those potential solutions included adding more uses to the prohibited uses section in this area, prohibiting outdoor uses or outdoor HII uses, allowing only light industrial uses in the heavy impact properties, applying the light industrial performance standards to this area, and recommending council impose a moratorium until the HII properties could be rezoned through the comp plan update. So I got to note that the council has expressed reluctance in doing this. They've batted around, but haven't moved toward to doing that. Your concerns included impacting existing businesses, some of which might do the things contemplated for exclusion. How creating stricter performance standards might affect existing uses, how creating non-conforming uses might affect those existing uses, and notifying and hearing from the existing businesses in the area. The commission also asked for a legal opinion from the county attorney about these concerns and potential actions. And I provided our attorney's response in the June 3rd memo, where he lays out the county's authority to administer zoning regulations, the right for uses made non-conforming to continue, and the jurisdiction's ability to impose moratorium. We've also sent out the letters, invitation letters, and that memo to the businesses and owners of the industrial properties in the area. And I see a few of them are here tonight, but not before. That memo also had analyses of the potential solutions and gave you some potential language for amending. But as that memo had a fairly quick turnaround to get it into your packets, we erred in our analysis of the LII versus HII performance standards. We have since had more time to consider the options. So today we provided you a new memo correcting that error, including some additional thoughts on how to approach this task, and provided you with a solution that hopefully might work for you, given what we've heard. This solution modifies the use allowances and performance standards for the HII district within the Bellingham UGA. Regarding the use allowances, the existing code has modifications to the general HII rules specific to the Bellingham UGA in several subsections in the permitted, conditional, and prohibited use sections. But they can be really hard to find. You have to read every single line to find those exceptions. So to make it easier to find the rules specific to the Bellingham UGA, we're suggesting that remove all these exceptions to it and create a new section 2068-210 entitled Use Allowances Specific to the Bellingham Urban Growth Area. And under this section, we suggest modifying the
that moved language, so that only the permitted and conditional uses allowed in the LII district are allowed in this area. We've also augmented the list of prohibited uses to include three things that seem to fit the category of incompatible uses, and that's treatment and storage facilities for hazardous waste, type 3 solid waste handling facilities, and metal recycling. And regarding the performance standards, we suggest amending 2068-700 to require new uses or non-conforming uses changed to another non-conforming use, which our code allows, to meet the performance standards of the light impact industrial district. And again, as a reminder to the audience, this is a workshop tonight, not a public hearing. The commission will be holding a public hearing later, hopefully on July 11th, if we can get, I have to do SEPA and state notification, all that kind of stuff, and that takes time. So look at their website and you'll see when it gets posted. And that's assuming the commission comes to a satisfactory solution to make. Questions or discussion? Cliff, I have a question. County attorney's opinion is it in here? It was in the July or June 3rd memo. Okay.
Page 3 of it, page 3 of his response. For her.
Commissioner Desmond.
Cliff, in your latest memo, I'm having trouble reading one line in that latest memo. And that is the line that starts with 212. Could you tell me what that line is saying?
What page you on?
In the option 4 of the proposed, it's under 20.68.210. And underneath we've got 212 only. I don't know that word. U district to US. I don't know what that.
You'll see some of that shows the amendments that I've proposed to you. So it shows strikeout and underline. The double underline indicates that it was moved from someplace else. So it's only uses allowed in the light impact industrial district are permitted uses. WCC 2066-110 shall be permitted uses within heavy impact industrial district of the Bellingham UGA.
In the PDF I have gotten, dated June for today, there's a line 212 bold ONLY, and the word after that is UDISTRICTUSESD. I have no idea what that word is.
It must be distorted. It's only uses allowed in the light impact industrial district.
Wow, I don't know how that happened.
I don't know if maybe the PDF messed it up somehow, or I don't know.
Okay, well, I guess I'm the only benefactor of that. But so thanks for explaining that.
Yep. Commissioner Masseri.
Yeah, so just to be clear, this is modifying the way that section that we've been discussing is modifying the way the conditional use allowances would work for the existing businesses there.
Not how they would work, but it's basically saying that any new businesses can only do those conditional uses that are allowed in the LII in this zone.
Okay. It's not, okay, sorry, I was thinking non-conforming.
Yeah.
It's not touching any of that, the non-conforming.
No, we have non-conforming rules and
Yeah.
basically, if you're made non-conforming, you can continue your business as is. In fact, you can do some expansion. You can switch to a different non-conforming use. So they're fairly liberal.
Yeah, I was reading that in my head.
Yeah.
I'm following.
Commissioner Van Dalen?
Yes, so this directed to you, Cliff. This is what the county council is looking for at this point until we get to the public hearing. Is that kind of?
All I know what the county council is looking for is what was in their docket.
Okay, okay.
So I'm trying to read everybody's minds and synthesize.
That's why I'm
it.
asking. Yeah, yeah, okay, okay. I'm trying to read minds too here.
It seems to fulfill their directives though.
Okay, okay. Little tough reading people's minds.
But I won't know that until I go before them too. so.
Okay, okay.
Commissioner Sarah?
Yeah, one concern that I have had with this, other than, you know, I've never liked the process that feels a little rushed that we're trying to pick what things to overlay onto this HII district, is that when they say it may not be compatible with the future zoning of this, we don't know that it's all gonna get zoned to light industrial. It might be mixed use, it might be a lot of things. So even all of these provisions might allow stuff that's gonna be inappropriate for what it gets rezoned to. So I don't even know if, even though this would lessen that input patch, I don't know that it fully solves that problem. And so I just keep going back that it seems like this is poor planning, that we're trying to rush through this. And I think that if the council is concerned about it, I know no one likes moratoriums, it seems like that's what actually would stop anything happening that could be not in line with what it ends up being zoned after the comp plan.
Commissioner Desmani?
I think we have a moment where Commissioner Mosseri and Commissioner Hanson's comments, which weren't present, and I seem to be on the same page. And I just want to echo what Commissioner Mosseri said.
Commissioner Van Dalen?
Could I read what Jim's not present, but Commissioner Hanson, could I read what he said just so we have that?
Yes, you may.
Okay. He says, first, I would generally prefer that any zoning changes be made within the ongoing comprehensive plan update. Secondly, I am loath to remove heavy industrial uses from our overall land use plan without a needs assessment. Finally, if the needs assessment indicates an ongoing future need for the type of uses being prohibited from the area in question, we need to determine where they will go. This takes us back around to the comprehensive planning rather than spot planning. I understand the residential driven urgency behind the proposed changes. However, our job is to make the right decisions, be they popular or not. Signed, Jim Hanson. I just wanted to get his words in the record.
So I'll just, some of us were here when we did the Cherry Point UGA, or industrial area actually, but UGA. And I feel like I'm looking at it again, except a smaller one. But it's like we spent, what, 5 months on this? And I don't think it takes 5 months for this, but I don't think we can do it in 5 meetings. I think this is gonna take some time to think through, to do it right. And so that's just how I feel about it. I'm not sure there's anything we can do tonight that would actually be the right decision. Other than Commissioner.
I'll go with that as well. It's a pretty intense issue and we gotta do it right.
The commission can, yeah, I mean, you're free to do what you want.
Yeah, I think the commission can take action. I do want to point out that the council has looked at this as a multi-phased issue. And so with that second phase being that comp plan discussion and that more full look at the issues. But they have provided the docket item, which is at the top of page 1 of the June 3rd memo. And that is the specific direction that they requested at this point. With the second piece, that comp plan with that second piece. So I do just want to point that out to the commission, that is like the immediate, ask from them.
Commissioner Desmani.
I just wanted to also agree strongly with what you said, Chair, about this, reminding you of what Cherry Point does me as well, at a much smaller scale. And along that lines, then I think that, as Commissioner Masseri said, could we kindly ask staff to prepare some language for a proposed moratorium? Of course, we're not in any position to pass a moratorium. I understand that. But could we help you develop that language for a moratorium?
I would think we would work with our attorneys to do that, but I don't know if it's in the planning commission's purview. You can recommend to council that they do that. I don't know that it's.
Yeah, that certainly is a council decision to move towards a moratorium. They have.
Right,
they're
yeah.
not- They have not moved in that direction on this. Like I say, the way they have laid this out is a multi-phase one, to deal with the immediate issue first, in that docket item, and then second, to look at the more comprehensive look through that comprehensive plan process.
Commissioner Masseri.
Yeah, and I understand, the direction that council is given with the docket item. But also part of our process is it gets sent to planning commission, we hear from the public, and we recommend what, we think makes sense from that, and the recommendation might be much moratorium or something else, right? So I'm not convinced that just because council directed that to us and staff, that we should do that if we decide that's the inappropriate action.
And I want to make sure you understand that I'm not in any way arguing against that. The commission can certainly make the decisions that you need to and you believe are right.
And Cliff, I want to ask if you can provide some, not tonight, but provide this for us. Can you give a map that doesn't have all the little stuff, that is more the big streets and light shading, so we really can see? Because we keep hearing your addresses, but the map we're getting, we can't see them on there. And it would really be nice to be able to look at it. And when somebody speaks and says, I live on Birchwood, that we can see where Birchwood is. And it appears to me that there are multiple areas of heavy industrial. And it would be nice to see where each of those sections are at compared to the residential area, with the streets on the residential area, so we know what we're looking at.
So more detailed than the one.
Yeah, well, so what it is, and you shaded it, which is exactly, but it would be nice to have maybe the shading lightened up, or almost maybe done with a border on the different zoning areas, and then in light, so that we can look at the different streets and things like that.
Okay, and probably a little larger scale or something.
Yeah, and I'm not.
I can't even read the names on it.
I'm not saying this is the solution, but I know some parts are farther away and some parts are closer and things like that. So it'd be nice to be able to see where all those lines are.
Definitely put a different map together.
I also want to point out as a potential option for the commission, if they felt like they needed more direction from the council or wanted to ask some questions, I don't think that's inappropriate necessarily for the commission to potentially put together tonight some of those questions or concerns and ask council to clarify, so that as you shape what your recommendation might be, you could get some answers to that. So that may be an approach you might take.
Okay. What are your thoughts, Commissioner?
Would the council I guess I should raise my hand first, sorry.
Go ahead. Commissioner Van Dalen.
Would the council look at it like we were punting it back to them, but almost in essence, it kind of feels like we should. I don't know. It does seem a little bigger issue than a smaller issue. It's a big issue in my mind. You know, we got a lot of factors here. We're surrounded by a residential area. We've got a lot of jobs at stake. We got, you know, these are all important things.
And I do think that's one of the reasons for the bigger look through that comp plan process, to be able to look at that in totality. I mean, there's also, you know, a fair number of, not only the residents, but and businesses, but there's other entities that, are in on that too, as you know, City of Bellingham, came to our last meeting, and so, this is their urban growth area, so in the future, this will be in the City of Bellingham.
It will, yeah.
And so there's a lot of other factors, and that's one of the reasons to look at that through that context.
Are we concerned, is the county council concerned that, the ABC impact and everything that went along with, is that the main concern on their part as well, on something like that happening again? Is that, you know, what are we?
I think so.
You know, it seems to me to be the driving.
But I certainly don't want to try to express council's opinion, right? I mean.
Right.
We're all just guessing.
Oh, yeah, I'm back to reading minds again, but you know, we're still trying to do our job. All of us.
And so that's why that might be a good option for the commission, is to ask some of those clarifying questions of the council and see what kind of direction you get back in. Again,
Do we need to put that into a motion that we really would need some clarification on? Or is it gonna be handled by the comp plan? Or they don't want that? I mean, like you say, the docket says what it says. Cliff, I get that. But it's intended to be a first phase in assuring future uses are compatible and consistent with each other. The second phase would be occur during the comprehensive plan update. This is from the county council. So they've kind of dictated how it's gonna fall into place.
They have had conversations and I believe have asked us to consider it in the comp plan, so.
Which brings me back to my first question, again, to a couple questions ago. So what are we exactly doing? You know, what do we want to, based on what they're telling us, knowing that it's gonna come up in the comprehensive plan update?
I think this was an attempt to, as a stopgap.
Yeah.
Just to keep things from really taking off and something else going in like ABC.
Which brings us to the moratorium question again, that nobody wants to hear. But, you know, I think you're right.
But, I mean, the commission's welcome to contact the council, talk to them.
I think that would be my main question. I think if I was to ask them, all those guys a question, and gals, I would just say, are you looking for us to recommend a moratorium? I mean, is that kind of seems to be the way we're going here.
Not trying to argue, but I don't think that's what the docket item says.
Okay, true. But it's pretty unclear as to.
Commissioner Desmani, I'm gonna get to you next, but I wanted to say this: when we got the Cherry Point UGA, urban industrial area, we got a packet of, a suggested packet of changes, and then we were able to go through that. Whereas I feel like what we got is here's something, you know, that needs done, but there's no direction. Whereas we had an actual document that it had contradictions in it, and that was okay. Because those contradictions, we were able to look at a couple of different things and sort out what was the best, and oftentimes those documents have contradictions. Because they're not done, but they're proposals. And at the moment, we don't really have one of those. Except.
Well, I would suggest that in today's memo that we send out, number 4, potential combined solutions, I think that would fulfill the council's desire.
Okay.
And so that it's not labeled as an exhibit A, like, you know, religion, because I haven't prepared the ordinance yet or anything, but
Okay.
I mean, basically, we're coming to you guys for help in this. We didn't go ahead and prepare what we thought should happen.
Okay, did you say that was sent out today, or is that in the past?
Yeah.
Yeah, the 13th, June 13, we got these here.
Okay, yeah. I try to read every single one of them.
Did that tool still have a question or?
Yes, go ahead, Commissioner Desmond.
Well, the first thing I was gonna say disappeared. We had two distinguished guests on our meeting, Tyler Schroeder from the port and Mark Stremler from the council. And I was hopeful that we might hear their thoughts if the chair felt it was appropriate, but that's not going to happen anymore because they both left. They must have known I was thinking that. The other thing I wanted to say is that the city, the city planning commission, the city council, how much have we heard from them? Because yes, this is within the county. I understand that. I'm not confused, but it's part of their urban growth area. And it would be wonderful to hear their thinking, the city's thinking, and what they see as the future of this urban growth area as well, just for us to do our deliberation. Well, I guess I should ask, staff didn't answer that question. I should ask staff a specific question. Staff, what have you done to hear what the city wants?
Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, Commissioner Define, the city was here at our last meeting. They had both a staff person as well as a council member. We have tried to keep them informed of what's going on, and we've sent them the memo that we sent out today, as well as we think that's probably part of that bigger, fuller conversation that we were just talking about a moment ago.
I apologize, I wasn't the last, but I am curious, did they state any wants in that last meeting? What their wants are for our activity?
Not in the last meeting. I think they too are just starting to think about this area because of this whole issue being raised and our council saying perhaps we had to rezone it. So I think this conversation is going to happen over the next couple of years while we put the comp plan together.
Okay, thank you. So they're actively participating, but there's work to be done. I think we're all agreeing.
Yes.
Commissioner Masseri?
Can I call on Mark Stremler, the attendee?
Yeah, go ahead. Mark, go ahead.
Oh, yeah. Hey, you got me?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, right on. Well, I'm just here as an observer tonight. I'm not going to speak for the council. It's not the setting to do that. I have my own thoughts on this, but I don't want that to be a perceived consensus of the council. So I'm not, if you want to ask me my own personal opinion, I can do that, but I don't want that to reflect as an opinion of the council as a whole. So I'm going to choose to just kind of continue to listen.
Thank you. Commissioner Desmond?
Well, maybe I'd like to ask Councilmember Stremler, what are your questions about this process? So I don't even have to get your opinion to put you on the spot. I don't want to put you on the spot, but what are the questions you're asking as far as this process that you'd like the Planning Commission to help explore and answer.
Salesforce is good.
We can't hear you. I don't know if you're trying to talk or not.
I don't think he
Oh,
wants to.
sorry about that.
Okay, now you're there.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just not, I'm not going to participate in speaking
Okay.
my own thoughts or for the council because it might be construed one way or the other. And
Okay.
I want you guys to do your job and we'll do our job, but I'm not gonna chime in on this
Yeah, no
tonight.
problem. Oh, no problem.
Yep.
Thanks.
Commissioner Van Dalen.
Well, we're kind of at an impasse. I think this is good, the June 30, but I just don't know that we're ready to make a motion and pass something yet tonight. Am I?
Well, it wouldn't be, you wouldn't act on anything tonight.
Okay, okay.
I want to know if I'm on the right track. and if this
Okay,
is Something I should prepare for a public hearing or not.
Okay, I think I'm glad I asked. Then yes, I think we should. No, that's what I think. We should move ahead preparing for a public hearing. I'm looking at Dominic, wondering what he's thinking.
Commissioner Masseri.
Yeah, I mean, I'm comfortable to do that. Right now, I probably won't be in favor of anything along these lines, just because I feel like I said, I feel like it's rushed and I don't feel like it's the right process for rezoning. And I also don't know that even if we go through all this, that we don't do something that's inconsistent with where, like, now it's brought up, well, where's the city at with this? There's a lot of parties and they're gonna do that process through the comp plan. So we're kind of doing a rushed, short version of that, which is then gonna get redone. And I don't know if it's because moratoriums are unpopular and the council doesn't want to go that route. And so this is trying to kind of achieve that, but doing it in a less popular way. But I think it's the inappropriate way. So I'm comfortable with whatever gets put forward at it. I probably, right now, without more information, I probably wouldn't vote for it though.
Commissioner Desmani.
I don't know if anybody wants this to be a motion, but I just like to make the suggestion that staff consider the possibility of a moratorium language. Obviously, we're not here to direct staff, but and I think you know what the other commissioners are saying on the subject, so I don't need to make it a motion, but that's what I think. You should consider it.
Go ahead.
So, I guess I wouldn't recommend that the commission actually get into the language of a moratorium. If you want to recommend to the council that they do that, that could be your motion, but it'd be up to council staff working with us to put that language together into an ordinance.
For sure. It's just a suggestion. Yeah.
I see.
Cliff, do you want a motion or is that fine? That comment is
No,
fine.
I think we're good. Some head nods of what to do.
Just a second here, and I've seen Commissioner Van Dalen leans this way. I believe that Commissioner Masseri does. Correct me if I'm wrong, part of moratorium for a while till we can get a handle on this.
Are you asking me?
Yeah, I'm asking you.
I mean, currently that would be my recommendation based on the information we have. Seems like some of the commission members are more in favor of the current language we have. So if that gets written up, we have a public hearing. I'm always happy to have a discussion on that kind of stuff. We can tweak it, see where it goes. Maybe we get more information there. So I'm not opposed going down that route. Because I would like to somehow make progress on this, even if it's not the resolution that I prefer. But so I'm comfortable with that as a path forward. Probably not, currently it would not be my opinion on it though.
And it might be that the commission can't recommend anything like this, but we still take that to council, then that would be a recommendation that we take that to council.
So I think that's good. I'm for that.
Well, maybe it's checking in with them and saying, look, this is kind of where we're at. Would you have any additional direction for us? Because I can be a lot quicker than.
We can gladly work on that. I mean, that sounds great.
And I mentioned earlier reminded me of the Cherry Point UGA, and I'm looking at this, but the Cherry Point UGA, we got some specific performance standards that were given to us. And so it was, and you know, it was very detailed with a lot of performance standards, and some of those, it came out that it's because we had those. One was that if you replaced a piece of equipment, that it couldn't produce any more petroleum than the existing piece. Oh, but then it got pointed out that some of the new equipment might produce a little more petroleum, but it's much cleaner and uses a lot less energy to run it. And so and eventually we had both the industry side and the environmental side get together and discuss out some of those and come up with agreements on it. And that's how we put that together, but we had some specific ideas given to us to look at. And what I'm seeing the difference here is we're told kind of, and this is not exactly what it says, but we're told here it is, fix it. But we don't have any fixes suggested, and it's almost like we have to go out and research it.
They're all in that memo. I didn't list all the, you know, all the existing LII or HII performance standards. I gave them to you. I did give them to you in the June 3rd, I think. Yeah, I gave you all the code.
Yeah, there was a lot in there. Yep, it's all in there.
Yeah. Exhibit D.
So if we continue working on this over the next few meetings, what are we going to disrupt? From your guys' schedule.
It would just be pushing some of the other items that we have planned back. What we want to do is make sure that we want to interrupt each stuff in the comp plan. That. I do think it might make sense, if you're not really sure of a path forward to do that check-in with council. Let them know where you're kind of at and how you're seeing this and specific questions you might have.
A little more clearer direction. How's that?
You want to keep going next meeting?
I think so.
Okay.
So is there anything I could prepare? Do you want to hold your public hearing? Should I prepare a draft ordinance? For that to have a public hearing, or do you want to continue as a workshop? And if so, what more could I give you that would help you in your endeavor?
But it sounds like maybe if the direction that you're looking for, maybe it's that check in with council, get that direction, bring that back to the commission. To then figure out the next step. But it seems like if you're unsure about that next step, I don't know if you want to move forward with.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. I'm unsure of the next step.
It would be, I think it would be good to see it in a format, not exactly as it would be published, but more of a published type of format.
Like you're used to with the exhibit stuff.
And Are you able to do that? And
Oh, yeah, I can pull that together.
yeah, like a published format of how it would look in the code book.
Well, if you recall, normally I just give you the sections that are being changed and
Yes, you do.
yes.
I think that works. I'll go ahead.
Commissioner Massey.
Yeah, I guess if we want to request to maybe get some feedback on, I know that we did have staff from Bellingham here, but maybe if we want to request if they want to weigh in at all on how they're feeling about this process. It seems like there's two different issues, you know, obviously there's a discussion about the longer term rezone, but it's really the short term. I don't know, could be more information to get. I don't know if it changes anything or if, I guess I don't know, as a body, they can come together and give that feedback, but. I don't know.
Commissioner Massey.
Yeah, and I don't know if they're still in attendance, but there was the lawyer from Bell that said they didn't have enough time. So I would encourage them to review and send us any information and opinions that they do have the extra time.
Yeah, she seemed to think this is a hearing tonight or something.
Okay.
I think that's it.
Anything else? Nothing else?
Well, so can I,
Sure, go ahead.
I wanna make sure we're, everything's clear. I like to restate where we're at, and so I can state what I think I heard, but I'd love to.
Go ahead.
State what you think you heard. Let's do that.
Right. So what I think I heard is, the commissioner would like more direction from council. And so, but the only clear question I heard was more clear direction on this document.
I guess I'll ask,
Sorry, go ahead.
I would just ask, why not do a moratorium instead of this? Seems like that's really the aim they're going for.
I mean, maybe I'll modify that a little bit by, is a moratorium an option?
Yeah.
Okay. The other specific things that
Do we want to ask the question about the Bellingham Council? Or any thoughts on that? Is that a no-go? I don't know if that even matters at this point.
I'm guessing they're not ready to
Okay.
express that opinion.
Okay.
So they're aware, but we're providing this information, they know what's going on, like I said, I mean, you were here last time.
So that's covered. Okay.
As I asked,
A different map or a better map? You want it?
yeah, better, yeah, map that we can see all this be helpful. And then, I understand you did a lot of work on it, but just a little more code form. So we're looking like what the Cherry Point looked like, where it was like you were going through a draft book.
So you don't want to put it together?
No, I don't want it that thick.
Most of it would be blank. Most of it would be blank because seriously, it's.
At least,
going to
Cliff,
be-
at least 300 pages.
Yeah, it's going to be,
Okay,
that's all it will be. Because that's the best I can come up with yet so far based on what council and you guys have said.
okay,
Yep. That's
all right.
So we will go to council, we will ask them for, the planning commission is seeking, more direction on the docket item, looking for more clear direction and asking if more trying this option.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it is obviously an option, so I guess I'm just curious why they aren't going that route.
I guess, do they see it as an option that they would?
Yeah, whether or not they do or not, that's still, I can recommend stuff they don't want to do, I guess is my feeling.
Am I missing something? Is that, I just want to make sure I got kind of the totality of the.
I think that's the gist of it.
Commissioner Terry, if you want to call on.
I was just curious who had their hand up.
Somebody in attendees.
Mark Stroman.
Oh, Mark,
I call on them again.
yep.
Okay,
You got to let them know.
go ahead, Mark. All right, did you have something you wanted to ask or to add?
Well, I'm just wondering if you're able to listen to, I have a hard time keeping my mouth shut. So, would you be able to not consider my thoughts a reflection of the council and just my own personal thoughts? Because I don't want to sway your direction at all.
I'm inclined to say yes, but I also know that any comments you make will be a matter of record.
Yeah, I would say no.
And so you know, you can give them if you would like.
I would hate to be the one to have to tell existing businesses that they would have to change or be limited in the future. That sounds like a dangerous road to go down. And I'm going to stop there.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Commissioners, anything else? Any other business tonight? Any other comments?
Not for me.
Okay, seeing none, the meeting is adjourned.
As an observer, it just sounds like people are want to go to the council to say, what do you want to hear? And that doesn't seem like.
I'm on the tab, so talk
No,
to
it doesn't seem like it ought to be the function of this body. I mean, you've got all sorts of comments and certainly the moratorium. I mean, the council already resisted the moratorium. It would have saved a whole lot of hassle.
Twice.
Yeah.
Twice they
And
were-
so-
Not to mention the fact that we can't hear what you're saying with those masks on. We have no idea what you're saying.
No.
You know, why are you wearing these masks? Nobody else is.
Because he has an immunity deficiency disorder and he's very sick.
Health reason, okay?
Well, of course, we all are, but you see. Someone specific.
Yes,
I'm sorry.
in the room.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Yeah, it's really hard to understand.
Yeah, and I'm sorry that it is.
It's fine.
I
It's fine.
don't like wearing this either, but
No,
I'm.
no, I understand now. Thank you. Got it.
My kids can't even come and see me without. My grandkids, everybody has to mask to come into our house.
I understand.
I understand. Would have too.
And you guys have been great. I just wanted to